gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police, but I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's the Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Turning. That's how Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd describes the prolonged abuse that killed this precious 4-year-old boy. And the person accused of doing it, his adoptive mother, now charged with murder. Fox 13's Chris Cato is in our newsroom tonight on this one. And Chris, the sheriff says the little boy was literally beaten to death, right?
Wow. Another baby deleter coming out of the community. Man, I would hate to be adopted by one of these super single mother gremlins on demon time. Just the neglect, the abuse, the threat of her bringing in a thug maxed alpha simp to, blow her back out. But instead, she ends up deleting the child herself. And this is a horrible story that we've seen way too many times. And, personally, I think that this idea of just being able to delete children, I know it's not a baby, but this is damn near infanticide. This idea of, having the authority to delete a child is coming from the radical feminist left, the abortion agenda. And that's why I'm pro-life, because it becomes a slippery slope, and the entitlement of being able to delete your child, another human being who has rights, I think it starts to fester amongst the pro-choice community, especially pro-choice community, because we know that unfortunately black women are number one when it comes to having abortions in this country, even though they represent only like 6 or 7% of the U.S. population. So that's a very distressing statistic that we have come to know in the community because of how real the issue is.
Unimaginable, Allie. What is detailed in this report? The abuse little Bryan Boyer suffered, detectives say, at the hands of the woman who, at least on paper, was his mother. And some of this abuse was recorded on video. Now, we're not going to show you that video because describing it is bad enough. The sheriff says Patricia Saintizaire of Davenport adopted Bryan from Haiti about a year ago. She also has a 16-year-old son adopted from Haiti. It's the 16-year-old who, according to detectives, 1 week ago found Bryan in his room, weak and lethargic. During dinner, the boy began shaking and vomited 3 times.
Wow. So you have a black American woman who is adopting Haitian children and abusing them. Man, you don't see this every day. And could this be considered self-hate? Because they love to say, oh, you hate yourself, Black Gen Z. You hate yourself, Gen Quavius. Ha! On the contrary, right? I don't think a person like me who can hold other people accountable and also hold myself accountable when it comes to group accountability and group acknowledgement in the community could hate myself, especially, how well I take care of myself. But you have this woman who is adopting a black Haitian child and deleting them, right? So these sisters are the queens of gaslighting us into believing, oh, well, if you date outside your race, you hate yourself. Or, oh, well, if you're holding black men or women accountable for the things that we're doing, you hate yourself. The argument just starts to seem like you're deflecting, you're projecting, right? So It doesn't work anymore. That line of arguing is completely null and void. And I reject it personally, because you have women like this who are adopting a child who look like they daddy, or look like that. You know how they say, oh, well, you know, your mama black, or you look like this, right? You have a woman adopting somebody who looks like her and abusing that child until he's killed. These super single mother gremlins are on demon time.
Saintizaire took him to a hospital in Haines City. He was airlifted to Orlando Health, and he died. The sheriff says an autopsy revealed Bryan had a torn liver consistent with a hard strike to the abdomen.
Wow.
And had layers of bruises and injuries from past beatings. The cause of death, homicide by assault, blunt force trauma.
Wow.
It would have been great if we could have found this child and rescued him before he was beaten to death. If you search for a positive, is that he's in the arms of God right now. That now he's, as our Christian belief, that he's living the life there where he's surrounded by love and things are great, like he should have been surrounded by love, and things should have been great here on earth for him.
Wow.
Patricia Saintizaire is charged with first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse. In court today, she requested a lawyer. She'll go back before a judge tomorrow for a bond hearing. Now, according to a police affidavit, she denied using physical discipline on Bryan, but her husband told detectives his wife did spank the boy, and the 16-year-old told detectives that both of them were...
So she got a husband. That's wild. Where the hell was his ass? Why ain't he being charged? Because, I mean, what are we doing here? Where was he? I mean, this woman is a monster. How could you do this to a child? But it's probably because probably because, one, it wasn't her blood, which she probably would do her blood the same way, but I don't know how you can have a detachment to an innocent little boy. Probably did nothing wrong, you know, just kid stuff, and she's overreacting. And she hates herself, so she takes it out on other people.
Hit with a belt and other objects as a form of discipline. And the sheriff says on Saintizaire's cell phone, detectives found a video of her repeatedly hitting Bryan with an electrical cord.
Damn.
And another one of her throwing him into a swimming pool with his hands tied behind his back.
Wow.
When he was 3. The 16-year-old was taken into protective custody.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jinquavious Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
We have a video clip of where that 3-year-old baby's hands was tied behind his back, and she threw him in a swimming pool.
And the fact that she was filming that is disgusting. This woman is a monster.
In the backyard. We received on May 1st a call. May 1st, the child went to the hospital. So why did the child go to the hospital? Heart of Florida and Haines City, but they live in Davenport. The little fella got off of the bus. He was happy. Everything seemed to be all right. The 16-year-old noticed he was happy. They were home. Patricia, the 16-year-old, and now the little dead fella who's 4. The 16-year-old notices later on that he's lethargic, that he's not responding. Patricia says he's faking it. Give him something to eat. He can't eat. He goes unconscious. The 16-year-old has been saying he needs to go to the hospital. He needs to go to the hospital. He needs to go to the hospital. Heart of Florida thinks he has a significant issue, sends him to Orlando Health. Orlando Health tries to work with him, and ultimately he dies. He goes to the medical examiner's office, and that's when we get involved a couple of days later. We find injuries where this child has been beaten. In addition to the video we found in the investigation of his hands tied behind him and thrown into the pool. We found an injury where his spleen suffered a significant tear. The medical examiner said it could have been nothing else other than an immediate hard strike to the abdomen.
So guys, you see the excruciating detail this officer is going into, and he's a famous officer for some of his monologues on these super gremlins, and rightfully so. You hear the details and it's stomach turning, no pun intended. You know, these people are the same ones who will get mad at me for exposing this type of activity, this type of abuse toward a child. But I'm the bad guy. Makes no sense.
And as the autopsy went on, they found different layers of bruises and injuries from past beatings. And he's dead. He's dead because she beat him to death.
Story out of Polk, and a horrible story out of Polk County. We first told you about this one yesterday. A mother accused of beating her 4-year-old adoptive son to death will not be getting out of jail anytime soon. 36-year-old Patricia Saintizaire is being held without bond, charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors say Bryan Boyer's death was the result of long-term abuse, a crime that is sadly all too common. New tonight, Fox 13's Carla Byron spoke with the child advocate about what can be done to prevent tragedies like these.
We will begin with Patricia Saintizaire.
Patricia Saintizaire of Davenport appeared in court Thursday. Unable to retain an attorney, she was held on no bond on her charges, including first-degree murder.
It would have been great if we could have found this child and rescued him before he was beaten to death.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says Saintizaire beat her 4-year-old adopted son Bryan Boyer to death last week. An autopsy showed he had a history of abuse, and Judge described several instances of brutality that he said made his stomach turn.
This is a breakdown of humanity.
Jody DeMang is a child advocate at One More Child in Lakeland. She says children aren't likely to verbalize abuse, so there are nonverbal cues people can look out for.
That might be a child who is very tired at school, who has a lot of absences or frequent tardies, who doesn't have their personal care taken care of. Maybe they don't have appropriate clothing, or they're eating insatiably at school, or maybe they're showing up with marks and bruises.
Yeah, so you see all the you hear all these signs of abuse being described, but in reality, a lot of people are just looking the other way, and turning their heads and turning a blind eye, because they don't want to believe that this goes on in many households in the community. So when you're going to school and it's a school in the community, and you see people who come in with holes in their socks and holes in their shoes and smelling crazy, and you know, coming into school with black eyes every other month or every other week, a lot of people just aren't speaking up because, you know, it's like staying on code, no snitching, even in a professional setting. So I believe there were signs. I believe there were outside entities who knew about the abuse. Obviously, the husband should, in my opinion, should be charged too. If he knew about the abuse, was in the home, and was present during these times, at least with some negligence or something. But or obstruction. I mean, if he's watching this go on. But you know, it's a sad day when we really have to hold these heifers accountable. You know, I don't like reporting on these stories with young children involved, but I have to because nobody else will.
Are unexplained.
She adds people should always take their concerns to the top.
The truth is, if you see anything that's concerning, you should never hesitate, whether you're a teacher or just a community member, never hesitate to report that, because even the small sign can be something that is big happening within the home.
Saintizaire will appear in court again next month. In Polk County, Carla Byron, Fox 13 News.
One More Child offers intervention and prevention services from family support and nursing to effective parent training. They also license foster homes, so if you feel that you can provide a child with a safe and loving home, that might be an option to consider.
Gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.